In the cosmos of the world of jewelry, subjects are as various and diverse as the galaxies that gravitate together in the jewelry planetary system that GemGenève has built. GemGenève, which has become a cultural event, offers to their exhibitors and visitors a wide range of topics around jewelry and provide their knowledge on current affairs. I've joined them all together in one universe, the 7th season of a jewelry-themed podcast, Il était une fois le bijou. In this episode, I'll be exploring a new nebula, a rare and coveted gem of a connoisseur, the Grandidierite. I welcome the director of a renowned lab, the SSEF, better known as Dr. Michael, and Mr. Kunal Sheth, managing director of House of Gem 1986. Hello, Dr. Michael.
Hello, and yes, I'm director of the Swiss Geological Institute, SSEF. It's a great pleasure for me to be here.
And the second man is Kunal. Hello, Kunal.
Hello, and yes, it's Kunal. I'm the managing director at House of Gems, and thanks for having me.
What is the origin of this exceptionally rare gem?
So actually, this mineral was discovered a rather long time ago, so in early 20th century, 1902, by a French mineralogist, Mr. Lacroix. And he named this stone after another French scientist, and this was Mr. Alfred Grandidier. And that's why the name. And I mean, just to explain, it's important to know if you find a new mineral, you just cannot name it after yourself. That would be quite a shame. So normally you give the name to another person who has some connection, maybe to the country or the mineral itself. And that has happened at that time. So that's why it's called Grandidierite.
And for you, Kunal, what is your relationship with this stone?
So the personal history I have with this stone is actually quite short. I have laid my eyes on a few Grandidirites, but this one was exceptional due to its color. It sparked a little bit of an emotion in me. When I saw its blue lagoon color, it reminded me of the ocean, the summer in Malta, and that's when my journey with this stone began. And, you know, I kept looking at it once I found it in its raw form, having no idea, or actually not a lot of knowledge of what it is. I decided to take it further just because of how mesmerized I was with the color and how excited it made me feel. It kind of brought the element of nature to me, where the earth and the ocean meet together, and that resembles a lot of the color in the stone to me, and I personally am very grateful to have it become part of our collection.
Dr. Michael, how rare is this gem?
Yes, it is, absolutely. I mean, we talk here about the mineral, which is rare already, and to find it then even in a gem quality is even more rare. And the reason is finally that it needs very special geological condition to form, which you don't find very often. So that's the reason for this.
Kunal, is it actually very rare, or do dealers have a secret reserve of Grandidierite to maintain this status?
Oh, it's absolutely the case. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the first time I have seen one that I've actually liked. You know, I have seen a couple more in the past that didn't really catch my attention. And just earlier this morning, I was having a discussion with Dr. Michael as to how many he's seen and how many nice ones he's seen. And if you combine the two, you still haven't seen that many. So, I mean, given his background and the number of years he's been in this industry, it does bring me some level of confidence to say that it's rare.
Where does this stone come from?
Actually, the mineral can be found in different places on Earth, but normally it's very tiny grains, so it's not gem quality. So the only material which is really of gem quality comes actually from Sri Lanka, but very tiny cut stones we know only, and now from Madagascar, which is actually the first place also where this mineral was discovered. So in the south of Madagascar, there is a zone where we have pegmatites, and in these rocks, people can find, when they are lucky, they can find material, they can find Grandidierite. Again, most of the material is not so nice quality, so to find then a gem quality material of this mineral is very rare.
Is it from one specific mine or several?
Now there are different kind of mine is maybe a difficult term. It's different areas where people are digging, where people are working. As I said, it's kind of a artisanal, small-scale mining. So people, farmers, they just go and they just try to find in the ground these minerals. So I wouldn't call it really a mining operation. But that's a normal thing for colored stones and for such situations. So we were talking about, finally, there is actually different zones and areas where these minerals are found. It's not just one mine, as I said, and it's a very kind of artisanal, small-scale mining. So we cannot talk about a mine, but just farmers who are just looking for these minerals in the soil, in the ground, and when they are lucky, they find it.
How did you source this stone? Did you get directly from the mine, or is there a specific market?
So this stone was purchased in the gem market. We would like to believe it came firsthand, but sometimes you never know. It could be a possibility or otherwise. This particular stone is from Madagascar, so it is an African stone. When we stumbled upon it, we decided that it was something that we wanted to take a gamble with, because it's not something we regularly purchase or stumble upon. So it was quite a fun deal, because you don't really know how to value it, and you kind of have to guess how to value it, because there's a lack of transparency in pricing for this particular stone.
But you told me you bought it as a rough stone, is
Exactly.
it? It's even more difficult then to.
So as a rough stone, it weighed around 17 carats. All we were aware of was that it was a natural stone with no treatment, and that was enough for us to be captivated and to make an offer and acquire the raw material.
Is there a specific country that has the best market to sell a stone like this?
Oh, absolutely. This is a total gem geek nerd stone, or even collectors. You know, I don't think this is for the general public. I think this is for someone who truly has a passion for the gemstone world, someone that's well educated, someone that's curious, someone that's willing to try new things. So yes, you cannot take the generic route and find a final collector in the regular market. I think you need to be in a space where people's awareness and education is quite high.
Can you describe the gemological characteristics of this stone?
Oh, no, I think we need to have some factors which come along so that the stone has this quality and finally it can be used as a gemstone. So from the hardness, we can say this stone is a hardness which is 7.5. We talk about the Mohs hardness. It's not super hard, but it's enough to be used and cut and polished and to keep also this polish over a longer time. If it is a soft material, then you will have a problem at some point, abrasion, and it doesn't look shiny anymore. So this is the first part. Then we have exceptional transparency, which comes along. I mean, the mineral itself is rather a complex mineral. So it has magnesium, iron, aluminium, and we call it a borosilicate. So boron and silicon. So you see, it's rather complex. It comes in a three-dimensional arrangement, these atoms, so they form a crystal. And this arrangement has some, let's say, properties which come along, which are very characteristic. I'm not talking now about the color, which also is beautiful and characteristic, but I talk also about a property like, let's say, double refraction or birefringence. So When light enters a stone, it gets polarized, first of all, and on top of it, it is also in different directions, slightly different absorbed. So if you turn the stone, you don't have just one color, but you will see different colors in different directions. So this adds up, and we call this then pleochroism or trichroism in this case even. And the double refraction is a specific feature of this material, which when you look into it, you have sometimes kind of a doubling effect, which can be very attractive too. So there are very specific properties all linked to this, let's say, chemical formula and structure when we talk scientifically on this material. Yeah.
When setting different stones together in jewelry, the light refraction has to be taken into consideration. What gems would you recommend to set with the Grandidierite?
So I do love color a lot, and with that comes my passion for contrasting color. I think green, the color green goes well with purple or orange. So it could be a nice idea to maybe perhaps have some mandarin garnets around it, or maybe just one mandarin garnet, or maybe a purple sapphire or a purple shaded spinel. There's a number of color combinations that you could go with, but I would personally go with something that doesn't distract the main stone, which would require the material that I complement it to be of a softer, saturated nature than the main stone.
Sometimes gem trends start when a famous maison introduces a new stone in their collection, which then inspires others to use that stone. Is this something you hope happens for Grandidierite?
It's not going to be possible just because there's not enough material. For the case of Paraiba, it's got a beautiful color, just like the Grandidierite. However, there's just a lot more Paraibas available, which makes it easier to commercialize. With this particular stone we're speaking of, it's hard to commercialize just because there's not enough of a quantity. And that translates into the big brands not willing to market it, because when they market it, it's quite expensive and they need to create volume for sales. With this, it would be hard to get quantity and create volume.
So this will be for a one-of-a-kind masterpiece only.
Absolutely. So for probably their VIPs or their collectors, not the general public, I think this would be a great stone for them to have, because somebody that has a Paraiba and all the other gemstones in their collection, they would very much look forward to acquiring something new. So in the case of targeting a niche audience, I think it's a spectacular stone.
To set this stone, do you think it will be interesting to use a metal like green titanium, for example? Would this complement this gem?
Complementing the stone with green titanium would be, in my personal opinion, something that we shouldn't do, because that would take a little bit of the focus away from it. I think the stone itself has its own life, so it doesn't need a lot extra around it to enhance its value. And at a size of 6.5 carats, it's big enough to be noticed and not too small to need an added decoration for it. So in my humble opinion, I think that something classic has to be done with this stone to really get its full appreciation and its beauty being shown.
Maybe we should add here, because we talk finally about a specific stone, which we both have seen. So I have seen it, and Kunal owns it actually. So this is where we go so much in detail. So we talk about the 6-carat stone, which is having a perfect cut. Proportions very important in any gemstone, but this is giving us finally also the fire and the sparkling effect and the very homogeneous color saturation. So we always talk more or less about this single stone, and I can just add, I mean, we see thousands of gemstones per year which we analyze for the trade, auction houses, rubies, sapphires, diamonds, anything. And Grandidierite, normally maybe it's one stone per year. So it cannot become like Paris tourmaline, something which is everywhere kind of integrated in a brand collection, because it's really too rare.
It's clear it's a very rare gem, so I assume it must be very expensive.
It's an excellent question. If you want to put it in terms of numeric value, I would say it's priced a bit more than a super fine blue sapphire. That being said, I don't want to discredit blue sapphires because I love blue sapphires a lot. But again, in terms of quantity, there's just more blue sapphires. Like you said, there's more Paribas. And with this particular stone, it's going to be hard to see a similar color characteristic in any other gem. Therefore, I think it deserves a bit more appreciation than blue sapphires and a little less appreciation than red rubies. So somewhere in between.
Maybe I just add on that side, because very important is we talk here about a very fine quality. Grandidierite finally you can find also as rather, let's say, a very included material, color not very homogeneous, and you find it even in internet, in web shops. And some of these prices there might be just given by the name. At the very end, you have always to look at the quality, because this material, we would not even call it gem quality, has not much value. So when we talk about now high value, and definitely it has, we always think about the best quality of this Grandidierite.
Do you think the value of this stone will fluctuate? Or is this an investment which will maintain or increase in value?
There are different points in this, but one point which we still have to consider. I mean, this is a mineral which is found episodically. So like a pocket is found, and then some material comes into the market, and then maybe for 10 years there is nearly nothing coming again. Now, imagine there is a huge pocket found somewhere in the world producing a lot of material. This would have an influence on the price. So we don't know. So there is this point. On the other side, we can say the material itself also is not so easy to sell. If you think of something which you can buy as a safety kind of heritage, whatever, so maybe gold or rubies might be a better option, because you always can sell. To find somebody who is willing to pay a high price for a Grandidierite is probably not so easy. So I'm not a dealer, but it's not an easy material. I think you have to be fascinated, and then you probably are ready to pay whatever you pay.
I completely agree with what Dr. Michael said. I think this is a stone that needs to spark a bit of emotion in whoever is captivated by it. I don't think you should look at this stone in terms of value. Again, it's not very transparent because there's not enough quantity to measure its value if it goes up or down. We cannot predict if there's going to be a new pocket or a new mine that brings more of this material. But, as Dr. Michael said earlier, the conditions have to be very specific for this material to be formed. So again, trust your emotions. If it's a color that you like, I think that's where you make your decision of whether you would want to add this to your collection, and, go with your instincts and your feelings instead of trying to find true intrinsic value.
Dr. Michael, you told us all about the impressive scientific properties of this stone. But how did this evoke your emotion?
I mean, by formation, I'm a mineralogist. And I finally started even as a kid collecting minerals. So I'm always attracted to see something which was out of the normal. So, as I said, we see a lot of rubies, emeralds, all these beautiful stones. But to see something such special, who has a special history of formation, who has a special beauty, is something which always touches me. So I'm always fascinated to work on such material.
How many Grandidierite do you have in your collection?
This is the first one. I cannot lie to you. I didn't know what the stone was before we acquired this, and we have seen a few in the past, but nothing that really engaged me. So this is the first one that we've ever owned, and we've decided to own just because of its appearance.
Is very famous, Grandidierite, or it's too soon since it's a relatively new stone?
I would say it's too early. It's also something which is too rare to be somehow connected with let's say, royal history. It's something which from the beginning was, a nerd, you said once, stone for nerds. Now it's something which maybe in the future can get such a history. And for this, there is also the need of to inform the consumer, the public, about the rarity, about the beauty of this material. So somebody will connect himself with it, and that will be the story of tomorrow.
I think the beauty of color stone is that it represents individual identity, right? It doesn't matter if you're buying an inexpensive stone or an expensive stone. Everyone's getting something unique for themselves. So I think, everyone has different personalities and different characteristics, and different stones speak to them according to their nature and how they're feeling at that point in time.
You have a special Grandidierite. Do you intend to sell it or keep it for your personal collection?
To be honest, we do want to keep it for now. We wouldn't push to sell it, again, just because of the color that it has. Personally, for me, I am not in a rush to sell it. Because I haven't gotten tired of looking at it. So maybe when I get tired of looking, when or if I get tired of looking at it, it might be for sale. But for now, I would like to appreciate it more. I know I have dreams. I have dreams about, just it forming in the earth and how it comes to the surface and how it landed in my hands, right? Like I do think about it a lot. The color kind of stays in my memory. Even when I wake up, there was, I think, a couple of mornings where it was the first color that popped into my head. It's a feel good aspect when you acquire something like this. I'm so happy to have it, and I'm also happy to pass it down to the right person. Again, for now, I still have a little bit of love for it. Actually, quite a lot of love for it. So I'm gonna keep it close to my heart. And I hope that love stays around for a while, and it stays close with us.
There's not many Grandidierite on the market. Would you say this one, of over 6 carats, with an exceptional blue-green color, is the most beautiful?
So actually, we see stones, and it's always clear from the beginning we cannot keep, because we actually do a service to the trade. But what we keep is data. We analyze a stone. We just don't look only on the stone, which is beautiful itself, but we have data, we have trace elements, we have spectra which we take, and that's what we keep. And that, for a scientist, for us, is already very telling and fascinating. So we keep something, but not the stone.
I think the most important thing is that you create a memory for whatever you see and you appreciate. You don't necessarily have to own it, but I think if you own the memory of it, that's sufficient enough for you to live off of. Again, I think ownership is not important. Appreciation is. Unfortunately, the mind doesn't remember color so accurately, so it is beneficial to own it. But I don't think it's important for you to have a memory for.
Yeah, I would say at the very end, gemstones is really an offer by nature to us. And there is such a large variety of beautiful stones. And I just would say it's very important personally to look what you like, what color, what quality. And it, at the very end, is not so important what is the name of the material. It has to be your material. It has to please you. That's, for me, always the most important.
Many thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Anne.
I appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. I'm Anne Desmarais de Jotan, and I give voice to jewelry every Sunday. And if you want to give a voice to your jewelry and brand, I would be delighted to help you create your own dedicated podcast or welcome you as a partner in my native podcast. I will appreciate your support. If you enjoy the podcast, please encourage me with a like, a rating or comment on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and please share it on your social media. See you next month on this podcast, and in the meantime on the Le Bijou comme un bisou podcast, alternating with Brilliant podcast. Stay tuned to the next GemGenève Univers.